It's 5 o'clock on November 4th. We'll call the city council meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to our council meeting today. And if you'll please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call Deb.
Harley.
Here.
Brad.
Here.
Rodney.
Here.
Jessica. Here. Donna.
Here.
Kathy. Here.
Entertain a motion to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion from Harley, second from Don. Any discussion? Roll call Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Donna.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried. Across the mayor's desk, tomorrow is, we know tomorrow is election day, and those of you in the audience that are watching this on TV and online will no doubt be viewing this after election day, but we certainly hope you were able to exercise your right to vote on November the 5th. Just a reminder, Saturday, November the 9th, the Moving Veterans Forward have their 4th annual chili cook-off at the VFW here in Algona, and that's between 6 and 8 p.m. And there's a free will donation. We hope that everyone is able to attend that. And then, of course, Monday, November 11th is Veterans Day, and that's an opportunity for us to remember and thank all the veterans, what they've done and what they continue to do. So, council have anything they would like to share? Hearing none, we'll move to an update from the city administrator.
I'd like to invite our police chief, Bo Miller, up to introduce our newest city employee.
Hello, just wanted to take a second, introduce our new officer, Leah Johnson. She comes from Mason City, and I'm just gonna let her speak a little bit. We're excited to have her on board, and she has a little bit of experience. She's certified, so I'm gonna let her just step up and talk for a minute.
Hello, like he said, my name is Leah Johnson. I came from Mason City. I worked for the PD there for about a year, and I was a jailer for about 2.5 years before that, so I'm excited to come here and serve this community now.
Well, welcome. Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
First official day of today, so appreciate you willing to come up. We make everyone go through that.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Oh, okay. Very good. Agenda item number 7 is the citizens' opportunity to address the council with any item that's not on the agenda. Anyone that would like to speak? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move to the consent agenda, and that includes approving our minutes from the October 21st work and our regular session, approve the bills to be paid this cycle, and to approve a special Class C retail alcohol license for America Inn.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, second from Rodney. Any discussion? Roll call then.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Donna.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 9 is a public hearing, and it's 5:04. And we will open this public hearing regarding an application for contingent annexation.
This is a public hearing for, as the mayor said, contingent annexation we received from Dixie Eichelberger. It's for approximately 54 acres north of town. It's all farmland currently. It is proposed that a solar farm may be put in a portion of that. There's going to be a gentleman from Solar America here. You want to come up to the podium and talk a little bit, or?
Certainly.
Do you tell the council a little bit about what your plan is?
There you go.
Hi, I'm Scott Temple. I'm with Soul America Energy. I'm going to be representing Dixie in this project. Just here to answer any preliminary questions. We don't have any plans to show you really because we don't have a project yet. But I can certainly answer questions.
And that's why this is a contingent annexation. They want to know that, yes, we will annex them into the city limits if they move forward with the solar farm.
Okay, one of my major concerns is we were told previously that these are going to be stationary solar panels, and they won't be following the sun like some do. I guess I just see that like a giant mirror on the west side of the highway. In the evening, isn't the sun going to really glare off of that at certain times, disrupting traffic?
No, the panels are designed to absorb sunlight. We
Well,
don't really give off a glare. I mean, anything.
They have a glass coating on it.
Anything can give off glare. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll see glare anywhere you go when it's light out, but, no, we don't expect any problems, and we can adjust it if there, sometimes there's a tweak at the wrong point in a certain time of day, a certain time of year. We can adjust that, so if there are any problems, we can fix them. But typically, we don't have any glare issues.
And you don't put in the panels or the bases for them that move with the sun instead of our stationary?
We have a lot of different technologies we're using, actually. The trackers are very efficient. We have a couple other designs that are more compact. Just kind of depends on the site and the project. The trackers are more efficient.
Did we hear that only like 15 acres of the 54 will actually be occupied by the solar panels, or?
Correct.
So I have a question in regards to that then. Is there the chance of annexing those 15 acres versus the whole 54-acre parcel?
From what I understand, the solar farm's gonna be in the northern portion.
Oh, it is, okay, see, I don't.
So it would have to be contingent,
Thanks.
attached to the city.
Okay, then it would be fine. And I would be able to continue to keep the south half or south portion as ag land, correct?
Yes, we would annex it in as ag.
Okay, thank you.
How much does solar typically cost per kilowatt hour as opposed to maybe our other source of energy?
On retail? Depends on the utility and where you are. We've come, in general, solar is the cheapest source of power right now. As far as producing it.
Maybe that's a question for John. Maybe that's something we don't get to know, how much that's gonna cost us per kilowatt hour as we're gonna be consumers of solar.
Sure. Yeah, great question. We did an analysis based on where we were at a price that we've not agreed upon a price yet. When we had an agreed price, it went up, so that's why this is contingent. So we're still working through that all. It is, in our portfolio, it is not the cheapest source of energy. When we mix it all in though, we found that it does not increase any of our electric rates. We'll see a slight decrease by adding the solar to it as we mix, because we're reducing some of what we purchase and we're able to sell more of some of our other generation plants when we have the solar. So it's a net benefit to the community
Okay.
if we can get the price that we need it to be.
What's the chances we don't get the price we need to?
Well, then there will be, we may continue to look at that project. There may be other projects that we do.
Okay.
Are there, how does your company deal with the panels as they age out of the projects?
The panels are warranted for 25 years, so if they fail, the company replaces them and they get recycled.
How do they get, is there a panel recycler you guys use that, or a location they go to, or?
Yeah, there's several recycling locations in the country, more and more all the time.
Okay, and will part of this deal be decommissioning of the solar panels in an appropriate
Absolutely.
way? Okay.
We come in and take everything up and leave the soil if it's fallow for 25 years.
Any other questions or?
I could quickly address, Harley, your first question. The solar panels will be facing the south, so glare, they're not gonna be turned towards the highway, reducing
Yeah, I'm
any
looking
concern.
at
of-
afternoon sun or late midday sun, you know, bouncing off of them. That's where you got the most glare. The more they're turned toward the sun, probably the less they would glare. But that late afternoon is coming across there.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you very much.
The next step is another public hearing for the official annexation.
Yeah, they'll pass it. We presented a resolution, if they pass that tonight, when you decide you are going to move forward, we will go through all of this again and make the official resolution, because the contingent resolution, we cannot, we can't legally send it to the state for them to accept it.
Let's all get on the same page. All right, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
And there wasn't any public comment, I mean, from written or telephone, okay.
Mayor, you have someone else?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, Harlan.
I'd like to speak.
Oh, Josh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you wanted, yeah, just come up and.
We look alike. I'm Josh Fullhouse and live just north of here in Algona. I just had some notes on today's comment session here. And I thought it's just important to remind people that, you know, farmland in our county is finite. Once it's taken up, it rarely goes back in farmland again. There's only a few places, mostly homesteads, that get leveled and then go back into farmland. Taking farmland for development purposes, which is what this is taking away farmers' ability to pay for their families and, you know, their livelihoods, to pay for everything that's coming in with the increasing costs with, you know, seed and fertilizer. It's always strenuous on farmers. And when they go sell farmland, when much of this is taken up by development, you're creating a really hardship on the farmers. And I know they're not in our city, but between you and me, 90% of my meat in my freezer comes from our local farmers. You know, same with the vegetables that go in there. You know, we go up to the farmers market, we buy their vegetables. You know, so when you wonder where that's coming from, a lot of people don't know where the food comes from. They go to the supermarket, they don't think about it. I do, and I want my farmers to have the best opportunity at that pristine farmland. I look at this is pristine farmland. I think we have a lot of development options within the city yet for certain areas, and I just don't see it's really a need. Also, I think solar I have nothing against solar. If you decommission it, and it was a good plan for that, I really don't care whether or not what it's made out of, as long as it's not hurting the environment and it's being properly decommissioned. I think that's a really good thing. However, I think it's best to develop projects with solar. What I'm meaning is any land that's already developed. We talk about parking lots. We talk about the high school. We talk about any already developed land. Why are we not developing that as solar? Algona High, for instance, they built that really nice big parking lot across the street from their high school, and it's beautiful. It's all that concrete. You know, down in Arizona, I've seen these, you know, steel canopies go up with solar on them. That's a great spot to put solar. It will protect them from their cars from snow in the winter. It'll give them a canopy for rain during summer. You could put green spaces in there to eat any of that liquid that's in that parking lot. It's a great place to put solar because it'll take the sunlight, it'll take it off the cars, it won't damage the paint as much. It's a great place for solar. Putting this on pristine farm ground is not. I think the Kossuth County supervisors are very smart in putting a moratorium on solar in the county until they have done their research on whether or not, you know, they want to allow it and in what way to allow it within the county. I think it's really important that the city, as a governmental body, also respects the county's wishes and allows them to do their research before annexing any of the land currently in the county next to city limits to take up the solar project. And in the end, I think we really do need to have consideration for the supervisors. They're working on a lot of things and they need our our support from the city as partners. I think allowing them time to get their ducks in a row in the solar, allowing them to decide where it's appropriate in the county. When they come down on that, then I think it's a great time to maybe move forward with another solution, but I think it would be appropriate to allow that time, to allow them to figure out what they've done, plus the city gets a chance then to read what they've done in the meantime on their research and maybe learn something. So anyway, that's all I had for notes on that. If you consider my comments and consider leaving farmland to farmers. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Well, I am the farmer, so this would be my way of utilizing that farm ground to my own personal income and generations of my family down the line.
Oh, and you don't respect the Cassuth County Supervisor's moratorium on that?
No, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying,
Because you can do that right now because there's a moratorium on the county, unless it's annexed, of course.
I'm just saying that this is my livelihood then. If this property becomes the solar, it becomes my livelihood, which is, and I also own the ag land by that.
And so you farm that land, are you rent it out or do you actually go out and farm it?
I rent it out right now.
Okay, so you're a landowner,
Correct.
yeah, not a farmer.
Well, I farm too.
I feel like this is inappropriate.
Right.
Seems like an inappropriate public hearing.
I just wanted to say that,
Right.
you know, it's my
Yeah.
livelihood. He's saying that ag. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
it's 5:17 then, and
I don't know how long this is.
we will close the public hearing. And we will move to agenda item number 10. This is the second reading of an ordinance pertaining to city zoning, reclassifying Commercial Street.
This is the second reading of the ordinance to reclassify 1620 East Commercial Street. It was 2 parcels that were originally put together as a residential lot. The owner has since separated the parcels and would like the easternmost parcel to be rezoned to light manufacturing. This request comes from Clegg Real Estate and Rentals LC. He plans to add on to the garage and use it for storage of his rental properties.
So more rental.
The house will be a rental itself.
Oh, okay.
The garage, he wants to add on to it to store the items he needs for his business.
Got it.
It will not be spot zoning because the buildings just to the east there, that are in white, those are already zoned light manufacturing.
To the west.
To the west, sorry.
Make a motion then to approve the second reading.
Do you want to waive it first?
I'm sorry, waive it. That's, I know the roll, but I missed it. Second. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to waive the second reading. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harvey?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Donnie?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes.
Motion carried.
Now motion to approve second reading.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the second reading. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harvey?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Donnie?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 11, this is the second reading which pertains to tree debris and yard waste disposal.
This is the second reading of the amendment to amend chapter 8.16 of the Algonah Code. Currently, under tree limbs and brush, it states that we will pick them up curbside and also with yard waste, and we have not done that for years, so this is just more of a housekeeping thing to make our ordinance current to what our practices are.
Do you put anything in there regarding like special circumstances, or you don't need to?
There is something,
It does allow
it
for,
says only under an emergency declared by the city administration shall the city collect tree limbs and brush curbside.
So our practice in recent years has been, yeah, there's heavy storm events and tell people to put out the curb. This more or less just puts down in writing, it's been our practice for several years when the city compost site was developed in the 1990s. This ordinance appears to have not been addressed at that time. I think it was last amended in 91, so it's really, just that practice can continue under this.
Move to waive the second reading.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, a second from Jessica to waive the second reading. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Don.
Yes.
Catherine. Yes.
Motion carried. Move to approve the second reading.
Second.
We have a motion from Harley, a second from Jessica to approve the second reading. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Don.
Yes.
Catherine. Yes.
Motion carried. Agenda item number 12, this is a resolution that approves an application for voluntary annexation.
This is a resolution to approve the contingent voluntary annexation for the property that we just held a public hearing on for Dixie Eichelberger. This is only showing that we will do it contingently if the solar farm would move forward.
I would also just note, as was mentioned in the public hearing, so if the milestones or those contingencies are met, we would go through the process of giving notice in the publication, so the actual annexation that's approved and sent to the state, they'll accept that and be contingent, but kind of gives assurances to the developer to keep looking at moving forward. And then the other thing with that, what we haven't yet discussed here at the council level, is utility scale solar, making sure we have a regulatory process on how to handle that, addressing things like potential glare, not creating nuisances, setbacks, approvals, things like that, which we've looked at other cities, done some research on, but do we go through the effort of drafting that, finalizing that, if this project doesn't come to fruition, so as kind of things move forward, if it looks like it's getting more and more serious, at that time, then we'll look at kind of preparing and presenting draft ordinances to the council and how the actual permitting process for utility scale solar would go about in the city.
So there'll be another public hearing too then?
Yes.
Yeah, before the annexation, we'll do another public hearing, and then another resolution approving that.
So this is more of a straw poll than anything?
This is more of an indication that we will it's just contingent. We're looking towards annexing you, but it's not a guarantee. And, this is not from the solar company, this is from Dixie asking for her property to be annexed into the city.
Well, I was kind of struggling with that, because this, if a person has concerns about the project, and this project is very specifically stated in the request. So, if a person has concerns about that, is it appropriate to turn down the annexation just on that? Because if I see it as reasonable that it's annexed, otherwise it wouldn't seem proper to turn it down because of usage. So I'm a little torn here which way to go on that. Although if this is, like I say, more of just what your inclinations are, and it's not the actual commitment that's going to the state for annexation, and another public hearing is required, I guess I would be inclined to allow it now, holding back that I might look differently in the future.
Yeah, and it would, we kind of just discussed internally on the process, do we do this out of, since we have to do a second hearing now anyways, but to give indication of, the city's interested if all the threads come together, that, all right, we'll, figure out those details and move forward, or, it's not worth the effort to continue studying this, looking at this, and, so in theory, we could approve it tonight, and in the future one, deny it for, whatever reason, but, I hope that, we wouldn't find ourselves in that position, but to really, okay, we think that, for what's been proposed, we'll, move forward with it. And then some of those things we can also do is kind of on the regulatory, on the development side of things, things like, site plan, the development of this scale, 15 acres, that's gonna have to go through the site plan committee. So there are still, checks in there, but specific to kind of solar, development, again, because it's not something that, most cities, have dealt with to date, or, is a routine thing. We have put together this is exactly how we would, look at this, and this is what's required to be produced, and things like that. So there would still be plenty of opportunity to go through the annexation process and through the permitting process that, making sure the public interest is protected through, considerations of those.
Yeah, I'm very much a believer in all the above as far as energy sources, and I'd like to see them all developed. We certainly have enough windmills in the county, and we have, I would like to see solar developed, but I think we have to consider this the same as the supervisors are, and look at what the pros and cons are, make sure we know what we're doing ahead of time, so.
My reservations with solar are, with the way that we're going about this, is I fear that we might start getting more applications for solar around the city, just because, well, the city will annex you and we'll do the project. Dixie, this is nothing against you, it's just one project to start it, and I just fear that there might be other landowners who, because of the moratorium from the county, are saying, well, the city just set precedent and now we can go this route. And I don't even know if there's others interested. I just fear having the city surrounded by solar panels. I just want that
We're
considered.
limited by substation capacity.
I say this is outside my expertise, but it's, so feel free to join in, but where you can site a solar, it's dictated by where your transmission lines are, where your substations are, that's what's really dictating where these things are feasible or what upgrades are needed to meet those. So I wouldn't anticipate, it's like, well, there have to be very specific sites that meet all those things, or the improvements to those sites can be done in a way that doesn't make the project cost prohibitive.
And I think to Harley's point, since we don't have a great understanding of that, I'm still just having reservations on it. So just letting that be known.
I agree.
I don't know if I have as much reservations as my fellow councilmen. I think there's time for, we'll learn more as they develop the project. I think it's an opportunity to learn more as they learn more to us too. And, I don't have, since it's only contingency, I think there's an opportunity here for us to do that investigating and see what, there's a possibility for an alternative source of energy as we move forward, because I don't know much about solar company, but even you and Dixie and all them, I would trust them to make the best decisions for, the area and us, and I know and her land, so.
If we move forward with tonight's resolution as approved, there's still going to be plenty of opportunity we'll have to have this exact same hearing in a version of this resolution, as well as on the permitting side of things. If, it would be voted down tonight, I guess I would think that probably indicates to the developer to just kill the project, that the council's not interested in contingency, just be done, which I don't think would be in the best interest, at this point, but again, if there's still being plenty of opportunities to address those other items in the future.
I know you spoke about there's gonna be more stuff to follow this. If this is approved, we're gonna go through basically all the details of what this development will look like in the future. As long as we have that, I'm for the contingent annexation, as long as we're going to have those plans in place for any future projects such as this. Because again, it's not, my fear is not of the solar, it's of this becoming repetitive where now we're surrounding the city with solar panels.
Well, and to that point, Brad, they have to have a purchase power agreement with AMU also. So I don't see a large amount of people wanting to build solar around the city because John needs to have the capacity to purchase that energy from them also. Correct, John?
Yeah, that's correct.
Did I say it?
As indicated, we only have so much capacity on distribution feeders. This happens to be a spot that has an opportunity for us. There aren't a lot of others, and land around the city limits, it doesn't lend itself like this does.
Okay.
But we certainly have intentions that we'd be looking at all of the requirements for setback, things like that, with obviously the city staff, with the developer. We still have a ways to go.
Yeah.
And I would just, I know the kind of news with the county, the moratorium as they study that is relatively recent. This has been a project I know we've had, some back and forth on that, and we've been looking at the developer, going back to 2023. So this isn't I wouldn't want it to be suggested that, in response to the county moratorium, we're trying to do this. This is more coincidence because it's been a project that's been being looked at for more than a year, and thought it made sense. Well, at this stage, let's kind of take this half step to make sure it's still worth moving forward. But as discussion here tonight, there's still plenty of things that have to come together just from the city side thing going on, and making sure it makes sense from the solar developer and the utilities point of view.
And actually, our ag zoning our ag zoning code allows for solar collectors in agricultural zoned area.
I think it's a great discussion. I think our developer, AMU, and the owner, they all kind of know what we're kind of looking for here as we move forward, at least. But I make a motion that we move forward with the contingent annexation of Highway 169 North property.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Rodney, second from Brad. Any other discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Arlene?
Yes, as I stated, I am in favor of moving forward with this, with my hands on the reins if something does not seem right. So at this time, I'll say yes on this.
Brad?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Don?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you. Agenda item number 13 is a resolution approving a joint urban renewal agreement.
So, Sioux County Board of Supervisors have proposed an amendment to their current urban renewal plan, which is the 2012 Buffalo Creek. There you go. The Buffalo Township Economic Development District Plan. So this was a urban renewal plan originally set up for development of the elevator next to Titanca. So using that as their existing plan, they're proposing an amendment which in short would increase the area of that designated urban renewal plan, and then identify several new projects eligible for TIF funding under it. So the proposed areas to be added within the entire county. So really taking kind of just a small pocket there by Titanca and expanding to include all public right-of-ways within the county. The Cassuth County Fairgrounds property located within the city of Algona. And then the previously developed wind turbines in rural Cassuth County, which I believe there's 145 of them. The urban renewal plan allows cities and counties to use the increment through tax increment financing for projects. So the increment, in this case, that the county would be looking at using would be generated by new valuations coming on the tax rolls when the windmills start coming on the tax rolls here this coming year. So with that, when they had a meeting last month of all the cities, they want cities to approve this by December 1st or a week before that, so at least so the county can do their steps to meet those certifications by December 1st to capture this first year of those new valuations going on the tax rolls. What this would plan to grant the county to do is that new valuation going on, instead of that just going to the general levy and the school levy, because it's only in the rural areas of the windmills, they'd be able to capture that increment and then use that for the projects identified in the plan up to the dollar amount listed next to that project. With that, the state backfills the schools currently for any TIF captured from them. So really looking at it's the county's own levy, that wouldn't be seeing that new revenue being generated going towards the general fund so that the schools are made whole. And they could take that increment and use it towards one of the specified projects. The reason why we're considering this resolution approving the urban renewal joint agreement is that under the Iowa Code Chapter 403, the jurisdictions need to consent if another jurisdiction's urban renewal area is going to go within 2 miles of or within the city. So this would, include all of the right-of-ways within 2 miles of Algona, and then just the fairgrounds property in Algona, which is tax exempt currently. And then the proposed projects would be the county support for the county fairgrounds grandstand project of up to $1 million. And then there are several county road resurfacing and bridge and culvert construction projects combined totaling up to 74 million and change. That's not a commitment that the county will do all of those, but basically it's identified in the plan. TIF becomes a tool they can use for it. So if for a project to get TIF funding, it has to be in the TIF area. So if the city were to say, well, we don't want to approve this, basically none of those TIF funds, which is going to be collected by the county with this plan amendment, none of that could be spent within 2 miles of the city or at the county fairgrounds with that project. It doesn't expand any jurisdictional authority that the county has. It's really just for the projects that are identified, this is a tool that they now have as funding. It's similar to how the city used TIF for Finn Drive and Snap-on Drive, and those were constructed for the economic development benefit that comes from those. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. I will just note that the resolution approves the plan and authorizes the mayor to execute the joint agreement on the condition that the final plan remains substantially the same as the version approved by the city council. There is a public hearing that the board of supervisors are having on November 12th. And then again, to get all the certifications done before December 1st, kind of timing wise, don't anticipate it changing, but if it would tweak a little bit, the mayor could still sign off on it. If there were to be a notable change, we could come back on the 19th or 14th, 18th and reapprove. But yeah.
Well, it sounds like a plan that is going to help them out and help us out in the vicinity here also. So I would move to approve.
Second. Motion from Marley, second from Don. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Don.
Yes.
Catherine. Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 14 is to approve a pay application.
Thank you. In your package, you have packet number 10 for the Splash Pad Central Parking Project, Bob Becker Construction. This is mainly releasing some of the retainage as the project has been substantially completed. There's just a few minor punch list items remaining that Bob Becker is working through along with CRS, the Splash Pad subcontractor that they utilize for this project. So we're reducing the retainage down to 2% from the original 5%. Amount owed remaining is still over $25,000 to get them kind of finish up their punch list items, but releasing that $42,933, kind of finishing out the bulk of the construction fees and the 3% of the retainage that we've been holding.
When October, CRS came and knocked through a lot of what we had for the punch list items when they went over the winterization for us and then did the training on how to winterize it. So that's what we might still have some seating, touch-up grading, things like that to address, but comfortable with the balanced finish to address the outstanding items.
Actually, the seating that was done so far actually seems to look great right now.
Yep, there's a little bit on the south end and a little bit where we regraded some of the areas that were holding a little bit of water, just with traffic and the sprinklers going and kids riding bikes through there and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, everything's looking pretty good, and I know it got a little bit of use there end of the summer, early fall. So yeah, it's a good amenity for town.
Motion to approve pay application. Second.
Motion from Rodney, second from Brad to approve this pay application. Any discussion? Vote please, Deb.
Harley.
Yes.
Brad.
Yes.
Rodney.
Yes.
Jessica. Yes. Don.
Yes.
Kathy. Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. And our final agenda item number 15 concerns parking regulations. This is a discussion item.
We received a request to have this on the agenda, so a brief one, we had it on there, so we're just opening up for.
So I've been noticing a lot more people parking in their front yards, because they don't have enough parking spots. Well, if a house has 5, 6 vehicles, is it appropriate to line your front yard with vehicles in your grass, in your side yard? I don't feel like it is. So I sent something up. I thought we had something in our ordinances already addressing this, and we did not. So I apparently raised this concern a year ago, and we didn't discuss it any further, and I forgot about it. So, I'm sorry, I can't read that.
So we do, when we had discussed it back in, I think it was March of '23, that was looking at an amendment to our parking regulations. I think it was after that meeting that in our zoning supplementary district regulations, we have in there parking. We do require that in the front yard, parking spaces need to be, of a hard surface and, minimum 10 feet. So that would address, if it's, parking on the grass. If we want to, expand that further to include side yards. I think at the time it was looking at, well, if we have a problem rather than amending the ordinance, we, need to focus on enforcing what we have currently on the books, and if that's, maybe that's the case we need to do, or if that needs to be in combination with a further ordinance amendment. I can't recall the last time, we gave an order for someone to hard surface a section of the front yard that they've been parking on. But, if that's the council's will is to make sure we put a greater emphasis on that, and don't talk to our code enforcement officers.
Is it just me, or is people parking in the front yards just not, it's not okay? Like that you're just going and parking in your yard, in your grass. It's fine lately because it's been so dry that you're not harming anything. Brown grass is brown grass, but we're gonna get into the, yeah, you do that this spring, and now you've got mud everywhere, and now you're dragging mud into the streets, and it just looks terrible. I mean, I hate driving our streets and seeing six vehicles parked in the front yard, all at different angles, and it just bugs me, like, come on.
Well, I'd have to agree, I guess I thought we had something too, but, I guess if we've got something that says gravel, concrete, or asphalt they must park on, then I guess we should enforce that at least. I'm not a person who says we should park on the grass either, I think it was community of the area looked horrible also. But, because we also addressed, where they couldn't have storage units forever in their, on their properties, and the limit on those, so I think something like this needs to be addressed too, and be a little more, follow the ordinance. If we're not gonna change it, or if we're not looking to change it, at least follow it, gravel, concrete, or asphalt.
We did talk with our code enforcement officer, DeVere, and kind of, haven't developed a formal list, but I'm sure happy to, take addresses from many of you of, there's some multifamily properties that don't, have way more vehicles than, should be allowed. Some of it's okay, well, if it's, not a chronic thing, and occasionally there's a vehicle there on a weekend, a kid's home for summer, yeah, we want to be reasonable, but if it's, a chronic, they're always parking there.
So, like, do people get a fine if they park in their front yard, or how is it enforced?
So it would be an order to basically either stop parking there, or if you continue to park there, it needs to be surfaced appropriately. If they, if you continue to park there after those notice, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, but at that point, we would handle it as a municipal infraction, and it would be.
So it's like a graduated process.
Yeah, those are,
Start with the warning.
You get a warning first.
Yeah, and so those, it would be, if it elevated that $1,000 the first day, and then up to $750 per day after that. That's the maximum in our ordinance. And if someone wants to appeal that, it goes to district court.
Okay. So my other question is, I assume the people that would be getting these tickets can't afford to pay them. Some of them could, but what if they can't? Then what? It just.
Can we just do like a lower, like, here's your $35 parking ticket? You can't park in your grass.
When if they're, we're talking the front yard parking, on the private property, that's when it's like I said, we'd call it a zoning or a code enforcement matter, as opposed to, if it's illegally parked on the street, then it becomes a, law enforcement matter. It would be something that it would be to the, I imagine it would be to the property owner.
Property owner, yeah, that's municipal infraction for the property owner, because what you do is you get, some property owners are saying, the tenant's doing it,
Right.
because
Oh, yeah,
they're
landlords.
rental, quite often they're rental properties. So
So
the
it
owner's
goes-
going, well, the tenant's doing it, and the city says, well, but
You should be able to take care of it.
you're the owner, and so you need to take care of it with the tenant. And that can be,
Yeah.
I mean, but, so,
And then these, like we do, if there's a, property that needs to be addressed, you get you have 90 days, or you have to list date to, address the measure to, so it's not to start finding day one, and, I think we follow our practice of, as long as someone's making a good faith effort, getting a contractor lined up, things like that, they don't hit that, drop dead date, but if it would just be, well, I think I should be able to park there, and I'm gonna keep parking there, and then at that point, that, it's kind of could be a big hammer, and, especially if it goes to court and get complicated and expensive, but, that's kind of our means through municipal infraction of how we would go about enforcing that. If they order and they refuse.
and Kathy, to answer your question, if people cannot afford to pay it, it's a civil penalty. It's a civil penalty, so it's like any other civil penalty. I mean, some collection can sometimes be an issue. But again, the owner of the real estate, if it's a civil penalty against the owner, if the owner ever wants to sell that property, that civil penalty has to be taken care of. Because in order for them to have clean title, when they sell it to the new owner, they would have to take care of it. And so But that's, collection can be difficult, as
Right.
people that are in private businesses know. If you get a small claims judgment against somebody, it's similar to a small claims judgment. You get the judgment, now how do I collect it? Well,
Right.
there we go. And in the meantime, you're taking city staff time to pursue it, and of course, the city attorney gets paid by the city. So, and so again, it's,
So you get paid.
which I'm sure everyone out there would agree is correct, but it's it's kind of a cost of doing business.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there any consideration when it's like a snow emergency and they can't be on the street?
So like on those, we wouldn't, enforce it for that, because, but if it would be something where, they're parked there all winter and they continue to be, or even if it's just the winter, if it's a snow emergency, because I know that one ordinance that we did have drafted, we had one in there specifically that stated that, where, if we were going to go through the ordinance change and say, okay, throw it in there, but without doing an ordinance change, I think it's well within kind of our discretion of enforcement. Obviously, we want people to be out the street, so we don't care if you're in your yard for 24.
Right, okay.
It's probably a bad time for me to be addressing this because right now they're working on our driveway and I've been parking in the front yard. But that's the sort of thing that.
Yeah. Circumstances of why you're there.
Yeah, that'd
I
be,
knew you saw that.
yeah, so you got 48 hours.
I feel like you would justify
Yeah, if they've got a plan, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, we know that's happening, we understand as long as it's not parked too close to the intersection where it's causing a hazard.
Well, I don't think any of us are talking that, special circumstances like that, but if we've got somebody doing it permanently, I'd like to see the ordinance current on the books followed. Then at least
it's
gravel, concrete, gravel.
specific enough that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Get it as what we
And
said.
Brad, are you talking vehicles or are you talking RVs and boats? I know we had a couple of those, most of those are put away for the winter, so
Yeah.
we're
No.
trying to hone in more on what you're
No, they're
talking about.
vehicles,
Okay,
there's a few houses right now, you drive by, and there's 5 vehicles at their house, they have 2 vehicle wide driveway, a 2-stall garage, and they got 3 of them in the grass. I mean, they're pulled up in left of the driveway, 2 into the front yard, and 2 on the concrete, so
I
it's,
thought that's what you were talking
Yeah.
about, but when Jacob and Devere and I talked today, we wanted to clarify that, we weren't talking boats, because sometimes in the summer, somebody will put their boat in the right of way for a little bit, or their RV while they're unloading it or such, but,
no, it's,
just
those are
wanted to
all
clarify.
understandable. You need a place for 24, 48 hours, for a week. Sometimes you got a boat, you got your RV, you just need, I need this here for now.
Like for a day.
Yeah. It's those, how come every single time I drive by this house, they're just full of vehicles? And it's just consistent, and it just, after so long, it really just bugs me.
Yeah, so if you can send us those addresses and you're welcome to remember us, we can kind of, where we're at in the year for, doing any potential concrete or asphalt work. But, we could basically get out at least notice over the winter of, this has been identified as a problem, and, so it's coming up this spring that either you need to find other parking arrangements or, you need to improve it appropriately for it to use as a parking lot.
Sounds good.
Any other discussion?
Good job.
All right, it's 5:54, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second, the meeting is adjourned, thank you.